What is up, you guys? It's your girl, Shonda Denise. I promised a lot of you that I would just explain more or less on how to read or understand your personal natal charts, and then eventually understand what the transits of the current transits mean when it comes to astrology. I am maybe a whole pregnancy into this, 9 months, 9 months worth of studying this, like ins and outs. And you got some astrologers who have been studying astrology for probably 10 years. So it's a never learning or a never ending when it comes to learning, you know, because it's so intricate and it's so like, so much that you could actually talk about when it comes to your personal chart. So let's just start by saying we're all here for a purpose. Our charts will tell you exactly what that is. You have whole sign charts. Whole sign chart is when you place all of your information into whatever app. I like to use Astrology.com because it gives me my personal. Or you have Placidus. Placidus is more of your degrees as a person. I'm a Libra rising, right? And because I'm a late degree Libra rising, which you guys will learn a little bit later, I'm a late degree Libra rising. I have the next sign in my first house, and the majority of it is in my first house. So I would resonate as a Libra rising on whole sign charts, but when it comes to Placidus, I'm probably more or less of a Scorpio rising. So I like to look at both charts to see which one resonates. And of course, I have Aquarius in my my sun sign and my moon sign. So I always look at Aquarius because that's pretty much who, you know, I am, right? So I like to look at my sun sign for like career matters, you know, exterior changes and things like that. My moon sign is how I feel internally, you know, how I see life. You know what I mean? That's your moon sign. How I love, how I put my internal thoughts, how I press it out. Then I have the Libra rising, right? Libra is controlled by Venus, and Venus is this beautiful sign that gives you, you know, beauty and all of these things. That is my whole self. That is how people see me. That's how I represent. That's how I come to the table. It's kind of difficult, I guess, to explain, but it's a clear indication on how we are all different in every way. So we're going to start this, but I think since this is a one-on-one vibe, listen, it's important to understand what the chart even represents. How many houses, how many planets, what the houses represent, and what the planets represent. So I think it's important to start after you know your chart. You don't really even have to know your chart. It's just important to understand the chart. It's 12 houses. 12 houses in a chart. So that I am not, you know, leading you on. Let's kind of go over what those charts and those houses represent. Right? So like more or less the meaning of each house. Boom. Okay. Here's my chart. All right. So like I said, we have houses, we have planets, and then we have the zodiac signs, right? Each zodiac sign, without putting anything of your personal into the chart, represents a house. Like the first house. The first house is the house of your identity. It's self-awareness, it's your self-expression, it's you, it's your self-image, it's you. And the first house it's represented by Aries. Aries represents and owns that first house. So if you have Aries in your first house, you're very comfortable in that house. Like you're very probably fiery, dominant and everything. But everyone has a first house. But the planets, the zodiacs may differ in each house. Now, the first house, no matter what, represents self. Actually, houses 1 through 6 represent self. Then 7 through 12 is everything else, okay? So, well, it represents the personal. 1 through 6 represent personal things. And, well, I'd say 1 through 7, really. But 7 through 12 is like the other things that go along in your life. So like I said, the first house is your personality, yourself, your identity. How do you show up, right? On the exterior. This is you. This is you. Me, if I can correlate what mine is, I have 26-degree Libra rising. Libra rising is like 4 degrees only, 3 to 4 degrees. And then the rest of it is my Scorpio. So most of my house is really Scorpio. My first house is really ruled by Scorpio. But the ruler of the first house is Aries. I hope y'all following me. I'm an air sign. I'm a sun. Actually, all 3 of mine, besides that Scorpio that I kind of feel, are air. I hope I'm getting to you guys like it should be. I know it's kind of difficult because I am really trying to explain this how I know it. Okay. Second house. Our second house represents our, resources, our income, our money, our values, how we value things, what we value, our self-esteem, material security, attitudes for, of possession. How do you feel about material things? It's what you value. Now, Taurus represents or rules the second house naturally. So Taurus rules that second house. So second house is, your resources and things like that. Okay, so your third house is a Gemini ruling house. All right, Gemini rules the third house. This house is more of communication, writing. It's how we communicate, right? How we think. It also controls things like your siblings or your neighbors, and your learning style and your interaction with, aunts and uncles and cousins, and just your mindset, and places that I just named. So that's the third house. The fourth house. The fourth house is a Cancer ruling house, right? And the fourth house deals with home, your heritage, your ancestral roots and things like that. More of your private life. What you do in your house? What do you do in the home? How you were raised as a kid? What are your, upbringings and, your foundations of of things, your subconscious patterns, like things that are probably internally done most of the time inside of your home. That is the 4th house. The 4th house is very difficult for so many reasons. It's a hard house for me because sometimes, trying to break, generational curses and trying to create your own way of living and raising and your kids, or it's your home life. Things that you may not know about me, or I may not know about you, and how you live and things like that. That's the 4th house. That's the 4th house. Okay, the 5th house. The 5th house is ruled by our beautiful, Leo. Leo rules the 5th house. Your 5th house is a fun house. I mean, after coming from the 4th house, you gotta have a fun house, right? 5th house is a fun house. It's your creativity. It is like any entertainment that you have, any recreational, procreational, romance, children, play, fun. It's a fun house. It's the fun that you have with your children. It's the fun that you have in love and romance, and it's a fun house. It's just a really fun house. So if you have a lot of planets in that house, your life buzzing. Your life is your life is popping. We'll get to that later. 6th house. The 6th house is self-improvement. This is where health comes into play. This is where your work routines, your everyday lifestyle, your jobs, your health, like your daily health, your daily routines and things like that. It's not so, it depends on this house for me. I think, health and being on a routine and things like that is very difficult for me. Not the health aspect, because I'm very solidified in that space, but just routines and things like that. That is what the 6th house controls, more or less, a day-to-day lifestyle. And that is ruled by Virgo. Okay. The 7th house is partnerships, marriage, one-on-one interactions, and one-on-one relationships, any partnerships, any alliances, any the conflicts that you have with others, sometimes legal matters and things like that. That is a one-on-one partnerships. Your marriage, your work, your boss, from your jobs, it can conflict in those areas. When you sign, new job offers, those are partnerships, you know what I mean? So that is ruled by Libra. The 7th house is ruled by Libra. Okay. Following me? I hope y'all follow me. I hope I'm not all over the place, because maybe I should come back and I should put I'll make sure you guys understand what I'm saying, because I'll be rattling sometimes. Okay, the 8th house. The 8th house is the house of death. I know we hate hearing the word death, right? Death and rebirth. This house is really controlled by renewing your inner self. It's about growth and changes, your peak experiences, your debt, it's really for transformation. It's a transformative house. So if you have specific transits or planets in the house, you're gonna probably be transforming a lot. And of course, we know what sign owns that house. We know what sign rules that house. Scorpio. Scorpio is a very deep, in-depth zodiac sign that they transform and they recreate themselves a lot. So having a Scorpio run in that house on a natural chart, it's deep. It's a very deep house. sex, and, how deep do you go passionately when you do have intimacy and sex and things that get you, going mentally or inside. Yeah, I got a strong placement of Scorpio, so I get it, but I don't know if I'm explaining it right. But it's a transformative chart house. It's extremely like me. Okay, I have my Chiron in this house too, and my North Node. So this house is very prominent inside of my my natal chart, but obviously that's something else we could discuss later. You're gonna know all about me after this. The ninth house. The ninth house is like higher education, traveling, your religions, your journey, your philosophy of life, things in that brim. How to expand your mind, school, higher education, like when you travel in different places, whether it being a local or domestic or long journey traveling, probably, I don't know, anything like that. That is our ninth house. That is the house of higher education, higher mind, your religion, and things like that. That house is ruled by Sagittarius. Sagittarius ruled that ninth house. Okay? Following me, I hope you write this shit down. Y'all got to write it down. Because you got to remember these things. And once you know it, but it's good to write this stuff down. The 10th house. The 10th house is your career. Yes, your 10th house is your career, your achievements, your public life, the things that you do where people know you kind of as, what do they have? Recognition, public life, Your 10th house is also where your midhaven is for most of us. And that is something else because that's your strength. It's your power. That's your career, what you represent, what you're here for. It's what you're here to do. That is your 10th house. And that house is ruled by Capricorn rules the 10th house. Very structured house. Very, it's your house of career. It's what you're here for to do as your job, as your money. That's the 10th house ruled by Capricorn. Now your 11th house is like your groups and, your friendships, humanitarian. We know what house rules this. Humanitarian, the global awareness, how you feel, it's really your friendships, the friends that you choose to have and things like that. Now that is ruled by Aquarius. Aquarius rule the fun life, your friendship, the quirky, ness of life. When you choose your friend groups and things like that, any collective endeavors or humanitarian ideas. I think I said that. Global awareness and things like that. Literally, that's the 11th house. That's the house. Now the last house was your 12th house. Your everything in the 12th house is probably from within in your head. I don't have any planets natally in this house, so this house never really kind of, affect me. But it's still a house where we need to understand and discuss. This house is about subconscious things, right? Things that happen in your mind that nobody probably would ever be able to see. It's a house where you go through these things internally. I'll never be able to see this house. This house is very, let me see, ideal for like the dreamer. This is what goes on in your head when no one knows, right? This house is ruled by Pisces. Pisces rules this house, this 12th house. Yeah. So once you go to astro.com, because this is what I use. This is free advertisement, as a lot of astrologers use this. Astro.com, you put in your time of birth, that's important. Your place of birth, where you were actually born, the state you were born in, the placement around the world you were born. You need to know that too. You need to know the exact time of birth. If you don't know, roundabout, it's not going to give you your exact chart, but it'll give you still a roundabout of what you ever, what you think. But it's very important to know your exact time of birth. Go to wherever you get your birth certificate from, and if it's not on your birth certificate, ask the people, like, hey, that doesn't appear on my birth certificate because this is what I did. Can you tell me the time of birth? It's there. They have it. They'll tell you the time of birth. So if mom don't remember, or, it's not on your birth certificate, the second best thing to do is going to, like, the birth certificate place, wherever you're going to get that, and ask them, can they tell you the time of birth, or your time of birth? And then they'll just tell you. But it will give you a chart, a chart that's for you. A Placidus chart, it gives you the degrees and the planets, the houses, and, all of your sun sign, your moon sign, and your rising sign. Rising sign is probably the most important sign that you go by if you really want to know yourself all the way around. But it helps to know that sun and that moon, because it helps to know your individuality. So that's what those houses represent. I hope I was very clear on describing which all of these. And then we're doing this shit together. Listen, we're doing this together. We are, what is that on the wall back there? We are learning astrology together. I know a little bit more, or you might know a little bit more, but let's start from the ground up. That is what those houses represent. Now go to the chart. Let's get a blank house and write in each house what that house represents. And then put the ruling zodiac sign, who rules this house, regardless if your first house is this or not. This is the energy that this house is naturally going to give, period. This is the ruling energy of this house. So the 12 houses, those what those houses represent, and learn that. And then when we come back, I'll do every other day. We're gonna learn. We're gonna know. We're gonna know this inside and out. It's such a good I guess it's interesting, because I promise you, I've been following my chart for some time, and that shit ain't been wrong yet. I'm trying to find a moment when it is gonna be wrong. It has not been wrong yet. Like the things that, is supposed to happen, it just happens. You're like, golly, like this is crazy. So if this isn't something you don't want to live by, astrology, your ass will be crazy. But you want astrology to help guide you to the right time to do things, because sometimes it's the wrong time, but we do have times where it's the right time to do it. And astrology guide me to making those decisions during the times that are favorable in my life. Because sometimes, even like something like social media, let's just say social media, right? We know it's up, it's down, left, right. Sometimes I'm a type of person who posts and don't give a shit. But there are favorable times. Social media is like that 9th house, that 10th house, that 11th house aspect. Sometimes that 3rd house. But this is when it's more favorable. So if you're a social media person, like these are the times where you should post your what you want people to see, whether it's an entrepreneur business and things like that. Entrepreneurship is probably 9th house matters. 9th house matters. 10th house sometimes. but you get the feel. I just want you to know the basics of those houses, more or less. When I do the transit, we will know how to read it. The next course I'm gonna do is which each zodiac sign represent. Okay, it's important to know which each zodiac sign represent, because each zodiac sign represents something different. Different energy, different vibes, different everything. So if you guys really enjoyed this crazy little video that I'm about to be posting, I ain't got no makeup on. I just put something on my eyebrows. I look crazy as hell. But I said I didn't care. You're gonna see me. You're gonna see me when I wake up. If you guys like these kind of videos, tell me about it. I actually wanted, you to tell me how excited you are in the comments about learning this astrology stuff, because that's the only way I'll know, right? Tell me that. Keep going. I'm ready for the next video. Let's do this. And once we know everything, I'll do like weekly astrology, vibes for the whole sign. I can't do it for the Placidus because Placidus is too personal. We have to do a one-on-one reading, which I will get to in a couple years. Don't get a one-on-one reading from me yet, but I'm doing that in a couple years. But for the whole sign, I get it. Like, I get where the transits go. I get where, the trining, and then I'm just really fluent about the squares of things, the trines of things, the oppositions, the conjunctions. It's so intricate, but when you get to it, you'd be like, oh my goodness, this is the make of me. This is me. Just because you're a Libra rising doesn't mean your life is going to be exactly what mine is verbatim, because some of my planet degrees are different. Some of my houses, are shared by another house. I mean, some of my my planets are in other houses which they share. It's just so intricate. But once you know it, you'll be like, oh, that's LaShonda. Or that's whoever you are. That's me. That's my, how they go, we're not born with a manual. I beg to differ. Astrology to me is our manual. Just gotta figure it out. Gotta know it. And once you know yourself, you're comfortable with that self. I used to be like, oh my God, why am I this way? And I know that I was literally created this way, and for a very great reason. So if y'all like this shit, let me know. I'm literally gonna start from here. I ain't got no intro or nothing yet. I'm just gonna post the video. And if there's something y'all like, we're gonna continue. If it's not, I'm still gonna continue, but then I'm gonna get a little better with my YouTube social media presence, because I'm gonna make you guys want to hear it and like it. But this is my first one, so bye.